Welcome to America Needs Fatima. Our Lady of Fatima asked us for conversion. Now, Saints Jacinta and Francisco of Fatima, they left us some very good tips. Hello, my name is Antonio, and when we talk about conversion, many people think of conversion as someone who is outside the Catholic Church moving into the Catholic Church. But the word conversion, especially what Our Lady was talking about, was within the Catholic Church, okay, moving from one level to another. And this is what Saints Jacinta and Francisco did in their lives. They saw Our Lady, they saw the vision of hell, they saw Our Lady's repeated requests for prayers and sacrifices. She talked to them many times about offering, prayer and sacrifices for the souls of poor sinners and things like that. And with her guidance, they moved from a good, average Catholic kids to sanctity. Those two became saints in a very short period of time. For those who are, if you're not acquainted with the Fatima operations, Our Lady appeared to Lucia, Jacinta, and Francisco, three shepherd children, 10, 9, and 7 years old. And she foretold that she was going to take to heaven very soon Jacinta and Francisco, the two youngest. So, and she did. Now, before they went to heaven, she transformed them into great saints. So, how did this happen? Now, for those that know the Fatima story, you're probably thinking, well, they did a lot of prayer, they prayed a lot, and especially they started doing a lot of sacrifices. That's how they became saints. And I want to say yes, but it's not all. Okay, there's another point here, and this is where I want to focus because it's true. Sacrifices and prayer are a great means. For example, the children at a certain point they start wearing some they got a hold of some rough ropes, and they tie those ropes against their flesh, under their garments, throughout the whole day. And that's something that it's very bothersome, and that's what was one of their sacrifices that they start putting it in practice. And Our Lady actually had to ask them not to wear those during the night. It was important to get a good full night's sleep. So that is for sure part of how they became saints. But the point that I want to make today, and I want to ask you to think about, it's called focus. So before Our Lady appeared to them, they were average children focusing on the average, concern of kids of those times. They did tend sheep, so that was one of their concerns. They had good parents. The parents had chores for them to do. They had to make their bed in the morning. All little things of life. For us, it would be, getting to our jobs, paying our bills, and all those little things. So what happened with them is they went from concerning themselves about these small things, earthly things, to much higher heavenly things. And what were those? Well, mainly making reparation for the offenses made against God. So Our Lady showed to them how much God was being offended. And I may add, this was back in 1917. Now, move 100 years forward to our times, and things have undoubtedly gotten, 1,000 times worse. So if our Lord is being so much offended back then, imagine today. So this is the first point. The other point was the concern for the salvation of poor sinners. Our Lady showed them, a lot of people falling into hell. Our Lady at one point told them that one of their friends who had died was going to be in purgatory until the end of times. and things like this. So all this created a huge impression on the children. So especially after the apparition, well, during and after, that was their main concern. So their focus changed from earthly things to heavenly things, okay? Their concerns went from their own personal concerns. They adopted Our Lady's concern, okay, for the honor and glory of our Lord Jesus Christ. In other words, doing reparation for the offenses made against our Lord, and also keeping in mind how the fact that many souls were losing themselves. All right. Right now, for example, I ask you to think about this, and it's a reality that someday it's going to become very clear to us. After we die, we're going to see this. How many thousands of people right now are possibly dying in the state of mortal sin and losing their souls forever? Now, you and I, if we change our focus and start, adopting this concern, we will begin praying a little more. Once in a while, during the middle of the day, we will stop and say, I want to say one Hail Mary for souls dying right now, that they may receive a grace and convert before they die and save their souls. So this is a focus that I would say it's one of the main reasons, one of the main elements that made Jacinta and Francisco from average good Catholic kids to very great saints in the church, because that's what they are. They became saints in 2 years' time. Now, they had, of course, a great spiritual director, Our Lady herself, but we can do exactly what they did. And so first change the focus, and then that's going to lead us to begin praying a little more. And eventually, if with Our Lady's help, we may end up even offering a few sacrifices here and there, which is of course recommended, but everything in its good time. So again, just to summarize, focus. Do you consider once in a while how much our Lord is being offended? Do you consider how many people today are going to die in the state of mortal sin and lose their souls? And do you realize that you can actually do something about it? If only you, and the same message goes, for me, if we change our focus. We have to continue thinking about the earthly things, obviously, but we don't have to totally make that like the center of our lives. Let's go to another level. Let's, as they would say today, let's do a spiritual upgrade and begin, putting our concerns where Our Lady wants them to be. Thank you very much for listening. And before I let you go, make sure you subscribe to our channel if you haven't done that. And especially important to click on that little bell. And I left a link for you below about a campaign that American Needs Fatima is promoting for the unborn. Once you click the link, it will be self-explanatory. I mean, you will land on a page where you can read all about it. But I want to give you the opportunity to send a rose to Our Lady of Guadalupe as patroness of the unborn. Again, we are talking about reparation. This is an act of reparation, for this enormous, gigantic sin that our nation, unfortunately, is involved in for more than 40 years. And it's an opportunity for you to send a rose to Guadalupe, to Our Lady, a real rose. We will deliver this rose for you for a small fee, and send also your intentions. We will take your written intentions and offer them to Our Lady of Guadalupe. Now, she is the patroness of the Americas, but also the patroness of the unborn. Thank you very much for listening. I hope to see you again, and God bless.